Yeah, I can. Oh, no, I can. No, you know what? I was still not perfect this weekend. Oh, thank you. Oh, thanks. I think it was me.
But you can't say. Good you?
One and three. Exactly. Break it heel.
Yeah, I know. Sure, I'll go. I like this. I'm in parking lot
Hey, how are you? How's it going?
That's all set?
Oh, nice.
He's not here. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
To see if anyone else knows.
Yeah. That's what the council. Just waiting for Councilwoman Harris. If you bear with us for another minute. Okay, good evening, everybody. This meeting was already called to order in closed session at 6 p.m. Statement in compliance with the Open Public Meetings Act was read. Attendance was taken. Start the Pledge of Allegiance. Ex-Chief Kufel, would you do us the honor?
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
I'm going to ask everyone to turn off their cell phones, and people in the council turn off their cell phones. As we mentioned before, they interfere with our OPTVs. It makes static. So thank you for doing that.
Thank you, Maggie. Laura, do you need to do a roll call again, or are you good? Okay. So next seems to be quite a fixture in our meetings is swearing in yet another firefighter. So Ted, would you do the honor of joining me at the podium, and we're going to swear in probationary firefighter Santo Gencarelli Jr. If you guys would come on up. I don't even have my phone on me.
It's your magnetic personality, Mr. Mayor.
I'm going to get rid of this.
Yeah, yes.
Use this. Okay, why don't we center in a little bit more? We could play director here, camera angle. On this side, one on one. We're here. Camera got a good angle? Good to go. All right. If you would raise your right hand, place your left hand on the Bible, and repeat after me. I, Santo Gencarelli Jr.,
I, Santo Gencarelli Jr.,
do solemnly swear
do solemnly swear
that I will support the Constitution of the United States
that I will support the Constitution of the United States
and the state of New Jersey,
and the state of New Jersey,
that I will bear true faith and allegiance to the same,
that I will bear true faith and allegiance to the same,
and to the governments established
and to the governments established
in the United States
in the United States
and in this state,
and in this state,
under the authority of the people,
under the authority of the people,
and that I will faithfully,
and that I will faithfully,
impartially,
impartially,
and justly perform
and justly perform
all the duties of the office of
all the duties of the office of
firefighter with the Oradell Fire Department,
firefighter with the Oradell Fire Department,
according to the best of my ability,
according to the best of my ability,
so help me God.
so help me God.
Congratulations. The pictures, or is it Tom Bernard, resident photographer?
Yeah, I thought that was me.
We used to start the show tonight. Please, for the next 10 minutes. Perfect. Thank you. Just hand it to you.
I forgot about the need for cell phones at this wonderful ceremony to take photographs. Now, please turn your cell phones off. Thank you very much. Unless there's a photograph, in which case turn it on, take the photo, turn it off. Thank you very much.
Okay, next item up will be presentations. We're going to start with an Eagle Scout project update from Mr. Gavin Rue. If you would come up to the front table. Or you can actually use the podium if it doesn't bark back at you, it's static. Welcome.
Welcome. Hello, my name is Gavin Rue, and I'm a Life Scout with Troop 36 in Oradell. I completed my Eagle Scout service project this Sunday, November 3rd, which was building training props for the Oradell Fire Department to keep them safer. I chose this project because I'm a cadet member at the Oradell Fire Department, and my dad is also a member. I built a 10-foot window prop in 3 tunnels. These structures were made out of wood, and all the wood was donated by Coogan Brothers in Emerson. My fellow scouts and I spent about 5 hours measuring and cutting the wood and then building the structures. The Oradell Fire Department will store these props at the firehouse and use them for training props. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, next presentation is Nicole Chiarello from the Board of Health to talk to us about Narcan.
And Melissa Presta.
And Melissa Presta. Thank you, Melissa, for joining us.
Okay. So, good evening, everyone. As we know, the opioid epidemic is huge, and it's something that we've all been reading about, and it's something that we're all worried about. It's a part of our community. We worry about our children and everyone else. So, as of 2023, Bergen County began making the Narcan, the naloxone boxes free. And we actually had some here that were with you, I believe. And we were trying to figure out from the Board of Health standpoint, where were we going to put them? Where could we put them so everyone could have access to them? So this was a conversation that was going through the Board of Health. And while this was happening, other ideas and things began happening in the county as well. And there are boxes that different towns are using that they're putting in public places where it is accessible to the public at any time, where they can get naloxone. And usually within the boxes also, there is information on how to administer it, as well as resources that are readily available. So right now, the 3 towns that have it presently are Franklin Lakes, Montvale, and Lodi. And there are other towns that are looking at it as well. So if I could just put on a different hat for a minute, I used to be in charge of the Stigma-Free Committee. And we raised money for things such as this. These are things that we felt were important, and these are things that we felt affected our community, and it could have a positive impact on our community, obviously. So what we are proposing is that we use the monies that are presently in the Stigma-Free account for these boxes. Now, for example, Franklin Lakes has 9. So there are some towns that are putting it with the AED. I don't really like that idea because I don't think we would want hands in those as well. But maybe putting them where they are located. So off the top of my head, I came up with DPAC, Memorial. I mean, and obviously we don't have to put them in all these places. Hoffman, Grant, Borough Hall, Fire Station, Train Station, Library, Riverdale, in the field, in the back, because the school has it. So some of these would be in, but we came across this problem like the library, there are hours. So if I have an overdose and the library's closed, what do I do? If we have it in the police station, would I be comfortable coming to the police station? Probably not. So where can we put it that it will truly be accessible? And the boxes also can be outdoor, which is what the preference would be. Did you want to add? Sorry. You're doing okay. great. I would also like to say, for the record, it has been such a pleasure working with Melissa on all of this, and her and I bouncing ideas off of each other. And it has been so easy with the two of us, okay, because I work during the day also, trying to work at this together and finalize and come up with numbers and how could we do this? How could we make our community better? So for the record, I just want to say it has been so wonderful working with her on the Board of Health. And as most of you know, we had a rough start getting ourselves back in gear, and she has been a great asset to us. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
You're welcome.
And there they go.
Thank you.
Boy Scouts, go do your homework. Thank you.
Thank you.
You gonna stay safe?
All right. Next on the agenda is discussion items.
Yes.
Laura, you want to do the first one?
Yes.
2025 prospective meeting dates?
Sure. This is the time of the year where the municipal calendar starts going in preparation. And I come to the council after I've looked at school calendars, holidays, election dates, league dates, overlapping everything to just run through or have you look at the potential council meeting dates and identify any issues that would have us pick an alternative date. In addition to being put in the calendar, we have to do a resolution in December, and then I have to publish in a newspaper. So this is just the first step. As far as reorg and cyanide dye, it's a little premature right now. I just put it on there just as a thinking point. I know the governing body, the mayor, usually convene with council-elect and council-re-elect to ascertain those dates. So, again, those discussions can organically occur in the next couple weeks, and we can include that in the resolution for December. So really the first month that pops out as far as a question was everything tracks in the normal second and fourth Tuesday. In July, there's 5 Tuesdays. We do one joint meeting in summer months. There's school of thought for either date. Some people would think pick the 15th because people want a long weekend for the 4th. Others say mid-July is height of vacation, so maybe the 8th is better. So I just wanted to pose that to the council to see what you were inclined to do. Do you want me to run through all of them, or do you want to just go one by one as far as the questions, Mayor?
Well, I think what you need is feedback from the council
Yes.
prior to the next meeting.
Correct.
So that you can have a resolution calendared for us to adopt.
Okay.
Setting next year's meeting dates, correct? Mm-hmm. So if anybody has if we don't have a lot of feedback tonight, if anybody checks their schedules or a school calendar or something that may identify a potential conflict because things are or are not yet scheduled and we come across them prior to the next meeting, I would just ask everybody to communicate with Laura whatever concerns they may have and suggestions they have to offer so we can have this timely for our meeting next month.
Right.
Sound reasonable?
What about a discussion? Are we going to combine Sine Die with the reorg this time, or will it be separated again?
It's a good discussion point. I mean, I could see the rationale for doing it both ways. Obviously, to do them both at the same time kills 2 birds with 1 stone, but I can also see that there's a day to conclude the borough's business for the year, and then there's a day for new beginnings, where folks are sworn in. So it's a good opportunity for us to chat openly about that.
Mm-hmm.
I prefer to do it on one day if I just want to voice an opinion. I think it's just easier. But also going back to the calendar, I like the way our meetings are running because I think it keeps them shorter and more efficient and it keeps business moving. I'd like to discuss keeping 2 meetings a month just so that things don't get held up for 30 days in between meetings. I think doing the 2 meetings a month has worked very well, keeping progress going.
You mean the format of us being able to act at every meeting?
That's what I'm saying.
Right. So it's not necessarily in July. You're looking for a
I'm
second
saying
meeting.
I'm looking 2 meetings in July, keeping the 2 meetings a month, so that business is conducted roughly every 15 days.
And
So I
also
believe
in
just-
November,
just-
December?
Maybe December and November could be.
So just for some, and again, you make the decision, but just historical content of how that came about, because I believe years ago there were 2. It got very tough for quorums in the summer months with people
July.
in July and August specifically. So that was difficult.
Yeah, I mean, Roger, totally valid point. We made a shift in how we conduct business earlier this year to keep things moving and to keep a good pace of it. So it's a fair point. I would suggest that, maybe if we left those months with one meeting, but, adequately planned for when we needed things calendared, right, in advance, that hopefully we could achieve the same goal. If not, and we need to act on something, nothing says we can't decide we want to hold a special meeting and advertise if we didn't do a good job or something came up unexpectedly.
I'm complimenting the change, saying that I think it has worked really well to keep business flowing through the town.
Thank you, yeah.
So
I think it's been beneficial for us to keep things moving, so our meetings are pretty succinct. Okay, any other comments? Okay, if everybody just wants to follow up with Laura individually, she can,
See what farm we reach. Okay.
pool thoughts and come back to us. Mr. Hines, you have the next one?
Yes.
Nativity at Borough Hall.
A citizen called me asking about the feasibility of having a nativity scene. Because Oradell has never sponsored one. So what I did was I decided to find out. I did a small poll of towns that surround Oradell, the official policy in each town. So I queried the borough halls of Hallworth, Tenafly, Closter, New Milford, Dumont, River Edge, and Woodcliff Lake. All of them but River Edge sponsor a nativity scene on borough property. So I leave it to the mayor and council to decide should Oradell have one. But of the towns I mentioned, only one doesn't.
Any comments or questions from the council?
I think it's a wonderful idea, and if we have a menorah or some other representation of some of the other holidays, I like inclusivity.
No, we do. We have that. We celebrated Ramadan this year for the first time. I think
there's hopes to perhaps expand some of our cultural offerings to Diwali and other things because our population in town is changing over time, and we want to be able to work with our residents to celebrate days that are meaningful to them. So the county does a ton of this stuff. We don't need to replicate what they do, but we should pick and choose things we feel that represent our citizenry and are meaningful to them. Is anybody opposed to incorporating this as part of our holiday displays? And Ed, if I understand you correctly, the resident who inquired about this also offered to donate?
That is correct.
Scenes, so this would be something that's done at no cost to the borough, it would be gifted to us by the resident?
That is correct.
Okay.
I guess just the question is where we're going to put it. That's all.
Hopefully in a better place than we put the wreaths. So we need to freshen some of those up.
I'm going to discuss that in environmental.
To be decided.
Okay. Thank you. Ed, I think you have the next one too, right?
Yes. So I received a call from the Executive Director of Community Development. He is looking for an endorsing resolution from the Mayor and Council that will authorize the federal government to fund a Habitat for Humanity project in Oradell to the amount of $250,000. So the federal government requires that. There is no obligation on the part of the borough, but the federal government requires support from the local governing body before they can proceed with the next step of allocating this money to this project.
Is there a specific project?
Yes, on Reese, is it Avenue?
It's the Habitat for Humanity project.
Oh, the one that we've already approved and we've
donated the land for, yeah. They've gone through Bergen County Community Development to tap into a federal pool of money to be able to help fund that project to the tune of about $250,000. And one of the requirements of the program is that the local municipality has to pass an endorsing resolution signaling to the county that this is something we want to support as well. There is no obligation to the borough, no out-of-pocket to the borough. It is simply something that we support. If
I
Nope.
support that. How do we get it done?
Nobody has any objection to this. This is not on tonight's agenda, right?
It's not
I'll
on,
do this for next meeting for approval.
yes.
Okay. Anybody else have any other discussion items that were not on the agenda? Not, we'll move into old business. Anybody have any old business for the council? Do we have any new business before the council this evening? If not, I will entertain a motion to open to the public for non-agenda items.
So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
All right.
Any opposed? Okay, floor is now open for non-agenda items.
Good evening, everyone. Paul Atsunas. Yesterday was Veterans Day, and we are grateful for our veterans and their service, even though 35,000 of the veterans are homeless, as told by Frank Sellers of Tunnels to Towers. Can Oradell find a place to home some veteran? My question to you. Hey, Margaret. It happened to me, too. The valet parking person turned left from the valet lane, crossing the lanes of Kinderkamak to Prospect Avenue, while the pedestrian yellow flashing light was flashing and the valet attendant made an abrupt left turn. It's an accident waiting to happen. I've notified the police department of it. Hey, OPTV, great job covering the Hesley Rivera Olympic celebration. You can watch it on OPTV. So it's a great job, nicely done. And OPTV, another great job introducing our council and Board of Ed candidates. Thank you. Hey, Mr. Hines, you followed up on my Oprah request about a purchase order for parts for the Deepak vandalized water fountain, informing me that we have to install a whole new water fountain by the spring, as parts were not available for repair of the existing one. Thank you. Are we going to continue our annual Christmas holiday dinner this year? The date has not been provided yet. I think time is running pretty short. We'd like to hear about that. The New Jersey legislature passed bipartisan legislation adding tougher penalties for home invasions, 10 to 20 years and a $200,000 fine, and for residential burglary, 5 to 10 years with a $150,000 fine with no early release and must serve 85% of the sentence. On a closing note to Oradell residents, the Planning Board will be issuing a public survey to get information on what the people in Oradell would like to see in a new master plan. Look out and participate and ask questions and serve and give your opinion. I hope we can maintain our town culture and way of life. Look to the towns north, south, east, and west. And if you like what you see, let them know. If you don't like it, let them know. Thank you.
Thank you, Paul.
Ori Katzen. My phone is in airplane mode, so I can just read from it. Good evening, people of Oradell. Good evening, Council. I would like to start by congratulating Roger Tashjian and Tom Kelly, who is with us, for being voted into the Council. Looking forward for your service and commitment to this community. I would also like to say that just like Paul said, yesterday was Veterans Day, and it is important to remember and mention something. I know the mayor began the year with a beautiful calendar dedicated to our veterans, and I expect the mayor to say something to our veterans to officially, so we know on record and they feel appreciated. The other items I want to see, I just happened to hear the person here from the Board of Health who had this initiative about the Narcan. I take a little bit different approach about this. My approach is not to treat the not to treat the symptoms, but to treat the root cause of the problem. Okay, and hopefully now with the election result, the southern border is going to get closed, and we're going to have less drugs available in this country. Okay, that's my hope, that a lot of things will change, including and related to my initiative that I began by standing here in front of a council last month and begged parents to educate their kids about the reduction of consumption of sugar. Many states now in the United States approve many hard drugs for recreational use and medicinal use. I do not approve of that, but again, they make the law and they approve that. There is one drug called sugar that we all can get addicted to. During our evolution of a few million years, humankind and no mammal have ever consumed the substance called sugar. So this is something that our body does not yet know how to digest and tolerate, and that can lead to many issues. And I have a little statement to read about the consumption of sugar. Sugar is the root of all evil. The Bible should say sugar is the root of all evil, not the love of money. People are not usually dying because they love money, but they are dying from blood sugar-related issues. American sugar consumption since 1964 has gone up 400-fold. We now know that some of mental and psychiatric illnesses have its root in blood sugar. We also know that Alzheimer's disease is type 3 diabetes. It is an insulin resistance deficiency in the brain. The brain is so crack addicted to sugar that it secretes its own insulin. Most physicians think the pancreas is the only place in the body that makes insulin. That's not true. The brain makes its own insulin. It is so crack addicted to sugar, and when the brain wants sugar, the brain gets sugar. The brain is nasty. It's like a dictator. It just sits up there and it takes everything for itself. If it wants calcium, it'll leach it from the bones. If it wants amino acids, it will strip it from the lean muscles. And if it wants sugar, it will activate a receptor on the tongue called the T1R2 receptor, which also provides dopamine ding for giving in to sugar. That receptor is on the back of the tongue, so you have to swallow the sugar. This is taken from Gary Brecka, a nutritionist. And I just want to say that my mother studied to become a dietitian in 1972. And when she came back after the third or fourth lesson, she said the professor told her today that sugar is dubbed as the white poison. So I would like the Board of Health of Oradell. It's very nice that they have initiative about one type of drug, but I would like the Board of Health to maybe make a statement and educate parents about reduction of sugar. And I will end by saying that my initiative was extremely successful. I collected and removed from Oradell streets the drug called sugar in the amount of 55 pounds, and I paid kids between $3 and $4 in cash, green cash, 55 pounds of sugar that was collected during the Halloween celebration, which is a nice thing, and they should all go trick-or-treating. I collected it. I have it in my car. I didn't bring it in today, but if someone wants to see it, I'll be glad to share with them photos. But 55 pounds less of sugar will be consumed by Oradell kids this year. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Mr. Katzen. Anyone else from the public for non-agenda items? Come on up to the podium, Steve.
Everybody, congratulations on the election. I don't know all who got in and out, but my name is Steve Hoodie. I've been in Oradell 20 years. I love the town. It's fabulous. I'm a nutritionist and chiropractor. And actually, Ari asked me just to come in for a few minutes. I'm actually have gotten involved even with there's a paradigm shift happening in the healthcare industry, really being pushed by the health insurance companies. They've realized over the last 4 or 5 years that they're going to make more money if they help patients be healthier. So it's a drive to make sure they get all the data so they can do it, and I'm working diligently and partnered with the company to go ahead and do that. I'm working with a community in New Jersey, similarly kind of doing that. When Ari asked me to speak, I said, how appropriate, but in Oradell, if any interest, number one comes with just education. Most people don't really realize how unhealthy a lot of the food we have is, and it's killing us. I mean, it's called, most of the major diseases are all caused by very, very much what we eat. There's air and water problems and other things, but it's huge. And I've studied it all my life. I was on my deathbed at age 23 after being accepted to medical school and thought I was healthy, and then the bottom dropped out, and the doctors gave me 6 months to live shortly after my 23rd birthday. And it took me 4.5 years to study on my own and learn and try and figure out why. I don't want to die. And I learned so much of it was diet. And you couldn't read a book then. They weren't really written at that time like that. But I learned the hard way. And ever since then, I've been practicing reasonable, smart healthcare as much as I can. But number one is education, for sure. So if the town's interested, I'll be glad to put in, a soft initiative. I have to say, one of the teachers in my son's middle school class last year was phenomenal. I don't remember her name. I can get it from him, where she taught them how to read labels and showed them what was good and what wasn't. And he brought it home to me, and I said, who is this woman? She's fabulous. She's got it. She understands. And that's where it begins, is just having the education so you understand. Anyway, I'm here to help if the town wants help on it, because Oradell's an outstanding town. I mean, it definitely stands out among the rest. My wife picked it out years ago because she grew up in Hackensack. When we moved from the city, I said, wow, you were brilliant. You really know what you were doing here. But if I can, I just want to put a couple foods up here for a second, and then I'll be finished. Is that okay? So just to give an idea.
Please use the microphone on the table so that the public can hear you.
Yep.
Thank you.
So I'm going to give approximates because I didn't have time to really prepare stuff, but I know pretty much because I give talks all the time. How much sugar do you think is in these? In an average bar, looks good. Nature's Valley, crunchy.
Please use the microphone. Pull it closer
sorry.
to you just so they can hear you.
Make
Thank
sure
you.
the light's on, too.
Is that better?
Yes, thank you.
How much sugar do you think is in a typical bar? Nature's Valley, it looks pretty healthy. In one bar, how many teaspoons of sugar would you guess?
23 grams?
How many teaspoons?
I don't
Grams,
know.
people know how much is a gram, but teaspoon, what do you
10?
think?
Teaspoon is 5 grams.
Okay.
I'm sorry?
7 or 10?
Yeah, it's 8 to 10 usually, and in the healthier ones actually. In a helping of ketchup, if a helping is like a tablespoon, how many teaspoons of sugar, or how much sugar would be in?
2.
Yeah, it's 3. You go, how can it fit in a tablespoon? It dissolves. In a can of soda, this is a small can of soda.
10.
Yeah, it can be 10 to 15 teaspoons of sugar. And by the way, Gatorade is one of the worst because it's proposed that, oh, it's healthy. And at one time it was when it came out, but it's now just sugar water with, a little bit of stuff in it. In yogurt, not in a plain yogurt, but in a small, helping of, small serving of regular yogurt, strawberry or blueberry, whatever. 12 teaspoons of sugar. And I won't even mention this, there's 6 sugars in this. You go through, the first ingredient I think is oats, and then it's just sugar, and anyway. But a lot of them are hidden, we just don't know it. And no one meaningly saying, oh, I'm going to eat all this stuff, I don't care. Just the education part helps tremendously. That's what the insurance companies found out. They found out when a patient, or everyone, they want everyone to have some kind of device, a blood pressure device, a scale, something, so they can just see every day where they're at. And they found just by knowing each day where they're at, good or bad, people make huge changes. So it's just knowing. Just like if you didn't have a speedometer in your car, you might go faster and faster. But if you have it, you can determine anyway.
Thank you very much.
I'm here to help if you all want. Thanks.
Thank you, Steve. Thank you.
Thank you for letting me speak, too.
Anyone else for public comment under non-agenda items? Seeing none, we'll move to close the public to non-agenda items. Motion?
Motion.
Second? All in favor?
Aye.
Okay, another motion to open for consent agenda items.
So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Great. Meeting is now open to the public for consent agenda items only, please.
Well, as soon as I have 2 things that I wanted to question, and one I wanted to find out, 24,251, a resolution for $81,376, and what is that going to buy for our kitchen? I'm just wondering what it's going to buy for the kitchen. Is it just going to be a stove? What's going to happen there? Or are we going to spend any more than that?
We'll address it under reports, Paul.
Okay, thank you. The other one is 24,260, and I really want to know what the purpose of transferring is. I don't understand that, and I'd like that cleared up. And what I was wondering about budget transfers, eliminating items to pay for other items? Or is the Shade Tree Commission no money, but we lost $50,000 for trees or what? I don't understand what it actually is. If somebody can explain that chart for us.
Yep, Finance Committee Chair will address it in his report.
Okay, thank you so much.
Thank you, Paul. Anyone else for agenda items only? Seeing none, we'll
Motion
take a
to
motion
close.
to close.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, motion carries. We read the correspondence into the record, please, Laura.
Sure. Number 1 is a letter from Bergen Catholic requesting a discussion for a special law enforcement officer program and implementation. Number 2 is just a letter of record that was sent from Eileen Jones to the state of New Jersey regarding a dangerous intersection of Oradell Avenue and Grant Avenue. I believe that was received by the police department and forwarded to me. And number 3, a thank you note from the Moran family.
Thank you.
Yep.
Next on the agenda is the consent agenda. Before I ask for any questions or wishes to discuss an item further before we move the consent agenda, I had one question, Mr. Hines, on 24-266, auction of borough vehicles and equipment. We need to make an amendment there consistent with your report in
Yes.
that one piece of equipment currently listed is going to be removed.
Yes, we're going to remove a piece of equipment which is a jet vac valued at $26,000.
Okay.
The reason is we now need it. We have been using a piece of equipment that we received for free from the federal government that we are no longer able to be repaired. Consequently, we're now going to put this back in service.
Well, let me ask, can I ask a question?
Sure, Robert.
With regards to that, why wouldn't we replace it with the one that can't be repaired anymore?
Well,
and auction that off.
why don't we repair the LISO?
No, why don't we auction the LISO one?
They may.
Okay.
They may.
I think there's a retention timeline that may have to wait for a future auction, that piece of equipment.
Okay.
18 months.
18 months typically.
So any movement of the consent agenda would need to include an as amended 24-266, removing that piece of equipment. Any other questions or what? Thank you, Steve. Any other questions, or does any member of the council wish to pull an item for a separate vote or discussion? If not, I'll accept a motion to approve the consent agenda with 24-266 as amended.
So moved.
Second?
Laura, roll call, please.
Mr. Carnaval?
Yes.
Mr. Staff?
Yes.
Mr. Tashian?
Yes, with the exception of 262, which I will abstain from, please.
Mr. Kern?
Yes.
Mr. Gullo?
Yes.
Ms. Sarah?
Yes.
Okay, thank you. So committee reports, I'll be slightly brief, but it's that time of year again when the clocks have been changed and it's getting darker earlier. Seems to be a regular conversation the administrator and I are having about how dark the Kinderkamak corridor is at times. He and I have been discussing working with PSC&G to come up to for a better solution to lighting on Kinderkamak, in making sure that our outages that are either in decorative fixtures which still illuminate the right-of-way or an overhead fixture on a side street need to be addressed, all in the same fashion. So Ed has discussed with government affairs at PSC&G trying to get that expedited. Michael, I would ask for the police's continued cooperation in inputting those devices on the PSC&G website for outages. One street in particular, Leonard Young only has 2 fixtures. They haven't worked in over a year and a half. So that's one street that's totally in the dark. So I would ask everybody to exercise caution. Don't think because you press the button with the flashing yellow lights, cars are coming to a screeching stop for you to cross the road. Make sure it's safe before you cross. We do not want any more pedestrian versus vehicle accidents, period. So, and it's the same with kids after school if they're getting home from activities or things. Just try and be mindful of it getting dark earlier. To allude to some of the sentiments shared by the public, I want to give a very heartfelt thank you for your service to our veterans who were honored yesterday at Veterans Day. I apologize, I was unable to attend the lunch for them that was held at the Senior Center, but I understand it was well attended, and we had a number of our council members in attendance, and that's always a great event. I also want to thank a different group of people for their service. Candidates. We had election day. This was very interesting and historic election globally for things at a federal down to a local level. And I think it was great to see the amount of people that got out and voted and exercised their right to vote. I appreciate that. And I want to thank them for doing that. But I also want to thank the candidates, successful or not. I congratulate Roger and Tom for getting elected, but I also want to congratulate Ori and Kim Kayaski for having the courage to throw their hat in the ring and run. It's not an easy thing to do, putting your ideas out there for the court of public opinion to judge you on them and decide whether or not you are somebody they want to support. Is an acquired skill. So thank you very much for being part of our civic process in seeking elective office. It's much appreciated that the interest is there. The borough will have rapidly approaching deadlines to meet our affordable housing deadlines with regard to new state legislation. You've heard me mention before. We had meetings prior to the council meeting with council discussing strategy and other things. And we are hard at work on preparing strategy to meet our obligatory deadlines, as well as trying to affect how this legislation may be amended or changed in the future through our participation in joint litigation with other towns, but also trying to lobby our elected officials on what could be a better solution to provide for affordable housing than what's been drafted. So we're hard at work at that. Lastly, I just want to wish everybody, because this is our last meeting before Thanksgiving, a very happy Thanksgiving. Thanksgiving is a unique and special holiday because there's really no religion associated with it. For somebody to say they partake or don't partake, it's a day for everybody to reflect and be thankful for the things that they have. And we all have many things to be thankful for: family, our friends, our community. So I hope everybody can take an extra minute this Thanksgiving and share thanks with those around you and enjoy your families. So that's my report. Council President Carnaval.
Thank you, Mayor. We have no ordinances to either introduce or adopt this evening. Also, there are no updates from the Administration Committee. The Planning Board met on November 4th and memorialized one resolution for a soil moving application. The board also discussed a survey that will be made available to the residents and other stakeholders to solicit feedback pertaining to the master plan reexamination project. The next meeting of the board is scheduled for Tuesday, December 3rd at 7:30 p.m. The zoning board is scheduled to meet on Monday, November 18th at 7:30 p.m., and I will provide a recap of that meeting at the next mayor and council meeting in December. The historical committee met on Monday, October 28th, but I was out of town on business and therefore unable to attend. I would like to ask my colleague, Councilwoman Howard, to provide a recap of that meeting.
Absolutely. Thank you, Steve. The committee met in a multi-purpose room with 9 in attendance, 3 on Zoom. They agreed to work on the Oradell history book after the election. The committee, in the meantime, has been looking through the archives for historic pictures and matching stories with photographs. A number of residents have offered to volunteer help, and any volunteers are welcome. You should contact Sam Tripsis, or you can contact me at my email, mharrer@oradell.org. Joanne Young, who is a member of the committee and has just left town. We lost her, sadly, to the committee, but she outlined 7 possible chapters for this pictorial book about Oradell's history. A river runs through it, a home in the country, a family affair, beautiful days in the neighborhoods and downtown, serving the people, which is the history of the fire department and police department, mayors and parades, and town events, and then fame and fortune through the years in all fields: sports, arts, space, science, etc., with well-known town residents and characters like the soda shop owners or store owners. And finally, you had to see this, which is editor's choice, favorite photos not used in previous chapters. There's an abundance of materials. It's very exciting to see it all and to be pulling it all up. The challenge is to narrow it down and create one book. The decision was made to actually create 2 books. One would be the history of Oradell from its start to 1940 to get the big picture. And the second book, so it'll be a set of 2, will be 1940 to the present, which is going to be very moving and personal and focus on individuals. The second topic of the evening was they're working on a World's Fair exhibit, which the committee is putting together for an exhibit in the library. They are looking for Oradell residents who went to the World's Fair in 1964-5, and they want to videotape their memories. Also, anyone in town work there at the World's Fair. They want those memories as well. So if you have anything you'd like to offer, again, contact Sam Tripsis or me through my mharrer@oradell.org email. The committee is also looking for new members, especially younger Oradell residents who might be interested in history and historical preservation. There's an application on the Oradell Borough website to be a volunteer. And actually that goes for most committees that will be reappointed in December going into January. So if you are interested in getting involved in this exciting town and being a part of one of our committees, go on the borough website and fill out the volunteer application, respectively submitted by Maggie Hare.
Thank you, Maggie. One other item, we're continuing to make good progress with the updating of the architectural plan for the train station renovation project, and that's my report, Mayor.
Thank you, Steve. Public Safety, Emergency Management, and Board of Health, Councilman Staff.
Thank you, Mayor. First and foremost, I wanted to thank Borough Administrator Hines. We celebrated Veterans yesterday, and thank you very much, sir, for your service. Also wanted just to comment, Chief Wicker has submitted his papers for retirement, and we would like to congratulate him for many years of service to Oradell. The Safe Streets kicked off a week and a half ago, actually, and thank you to Lieutenant Gangemi for taking this effort further to bring attention and continuous improvement to our traffic and pedestrian safety. And as the mayor mentioned, we are always on the hunt for continuous lights that are out. So even on your streets, if you have a PSE&G light that is out, please call it in to DPW. We're also going to be taking a look at our new blinking lights that we installed in town. As the sun goes down earlier, we're finding that some of the blinking lights are losing their charge after 10:30 at night. So we need to take a close look at that. The Board of Health did not meet this month. Our next meeting is in December. And this actually concludes my report, and happy Thanksgiving to everybody in town. So thank you.
Thank you, Michael. Library, environmental, beautification, so on and so on and so on.
Thank you.
Councilman Tashjian.
So I was honored yesterday along with Councilwoman Harrer and Council-elect Kelly to welcome our veterans yesterday and thank them for their service with a lunch. I unfortunately could only stay a few minutes as I had to get on the road to Pennsylvania. But it's always an honor to spend some time with them and honor them for their service. Library will meet tomorrow night, and simultaneous along with that meeting, PSE&G will be in the library with Sustainable New Jersey for an information session with regards to having the home energy audits. We're going to start something in Oradell. We were given a grant to fund that, and everybody who participates and submits their report to the committee will get a $100 gift card to a restaurant in Oradell. So we believe there's enough money. Additionally, there is an opportunity to triple that grant to $5,000. And I believe they may have sent you something, but I'd say let's see what kind of response we have from the residents, and if it's worthwhile, we could look into that in the future. Let me see. Sorry. Okay, so we talked about holiday lights in town. We've started digging through some of the commercial lights to replace the wreaths in town. And we believe we could probably get them for about $500 to $600 a piece. And I'd like to start a program for next year in order to have residents sponsor the purchase of new lights for the downtown. So we make do with our wreaths for this year, and with a goal of having a program to roll out new next year. So I wanted to see if there's support for that, and if so, we would run that through environmental and beautification in an effort to do that.
Percentage of it or the full amount of our inventory?
I think we're going to ask for maybe a family to sponsor a light, and we're going to try to come up with some solution on how they can be acknowledged for that. So, you know, again, it's something we can discuss. I could have brought it up under new business, but I think it fits here better.
No, it's good. I mean, I think if you can come up with a program that once you start it, it doesn't have to end necessarily.
Correct.
You may have some participation at first, which may grow over time. The last time this was done, there's a plaque in the foyer that acknowledged all of the donors of the first batch of wreaths that we're currently talking about. So I think it's great that we can try and offer this opportunity for our residents to sponsor something. I think we need to clarify exactly what the program will be, that the money is used and it's in trust to be used for that purpose, not part of the general fund, and that there's an understanding on the sponsoring person as to what their expectation is that they're going to get out of it, right? You're getting a plaque on the wall in the foyer. You're not getting a bronze plaque on the light pole that says, I paid $600 and for the next 100 years my name will be here. So I think we just need to think through some of those logistical things that are normal expectations when people give money for things. And I think it's a great idea, Roger.
Great. So
Roger, what time is the sustainable
It's at 7 o'clock tomorrow at the library.
Yeah, library, thank you.
Okay, so am I going to take that consensus is that we can start looking
Yeah, I mean,
into this?
can you guys put together a
Yeah,
program
we'll
and
put together a
come
program
present it
and
to the
do a
council?
dog and pony show.
Yeah, that'd be great.
Okay, perfect. And that's all I have to report, Mr. Mayor.
Thank you very much. Finance and DPW, Councilman Kern.
Thank you, Mayor. First, I'll start with DPW. I know that Dave's not here today. So today I met with some representatives to purchase a mobile fuel tank. We met at the DPW headquarters. We discussed some details on the options for the usage of that particular tank, life expectancy, and the overall price. Now we're waiting on some updated quotes, but are expected to hopefully make a purchase before the end of the year, so the next meeting. DPW is continuing to fill up its roster. Currently, we're looking at two applicants to fill a position. I know that we rescinded one already. So, hopefully those applications will go through and we'll get that position filled as soon as possible. And today I also spoke with our assistant superintendent on an issue related to how we can communicate better with our leaf schedule program. So he suggested that at the end of our leaf pickup schedule, when the DPW goes around to pick up the last and final pickup for those leaves, that we, maybe send out like some sort of message and a link, and then have like a dynamic program or something like that on the website so that people could see, residents could see, where are we going to be picking up for the final pickup of the year. Moving on to finance, I reviewed the action plan submitted by our CFO today, and that we passed that on a resolution earlier. And that was to remediate any issues that had arisen from last year's budget audit. The corrective action plan is sufficient, and it should help resolve any issues related to the removal of employee benefits when they are terminated, and properly funding appropriations to certain budget items related to sewer improvement and the general cash fund. I also reviewed a resolution on tonight's agenda for the 2024 fiscal year end budget appropriation transfers that are required in order to reorganize and complete our budget for the fiscal year. I know that Paul asked about that earlier. So technically, we are allowed to do that, and basically, the reason is to maintain a balanced budget. And if we do not make any transfers to cover we can make any transfers to uncover unforeseen expenses that we can have to raise for any deficits in next year's tax levy. Also, the CFO informed me today that there was a 22 case tax sale that was completed. I mentioned that at last report, and now that tax sale is officially completed. Also, she mentioned that we were able to request and we received 75% advance on a $500,000 grant. That was for the DCA grant that we were awarded last year. I don't know if any of you recall, but we can actually get some of that money up front. So we got 75% of it, so we can ready ourselves for whatever we use it for coming up the pike. And lastly, the CFO is getting ready to send out the budget request forms for the department heads. That will go out next week. That's all I have.
John, just a quick question. Are we picking up, does the leaf schedule anticipate working Saturdays through the entire leaf season? Or is that an anomaly that they may have been out on a weekend? I'm just curious.
No, I think that's an anomaly. It's just a weekday.
Okay, thank you. Thank you, John. Technology, Communications, Fire, Recreation, Councilman Gallo.
Thank you, Mayor. I'd first like to thank, on behalf of the mayor and council, Chief Moran and the fire department for hosting us last Friday for the reinstallment of the inspection dinner. It's a tradition that happened before COVID. It was well attended by all of us, and a very nice evening, and certainly our appreciation continues for the fire department and all their operations. The Technology Communications Committee did not meet this past month, hoping that we can get a meeting on the calendar before the end of the year. Some important dates that are upcoming. On Sunday, December 8th is the borough tree lighting, hopefully the lighting of the nativity scene for the first time. On December 18th, Paul, the senior holiday dinner will be held at the Riverdale High School. Santa Sunday is scheduled for Sunday, December 22nd. And lastly, we have a tentative date for the menorah lighting on Tuesday, December 30th. And that concludes my report. Happy Thanksgiving.
Thank you, Councilman Gullo. Municipal Drug Alliance, stigma-free, Oradell for All, and OPTV, Councilwoman Harrer.
Thank you. I do not have reports. These committees are not meeting, and they need to be reconstituted. So again, I urge Oradellians who want to be involved in some valuable and interesting work in Oradell to consider the Municipal Drug Alliance or the Stigma-Free Committee or the Oradell for All Committee. Again, I would point you to the borough website where you can fill out a volunteer form and submit your interest to it. If you have questions, contact me through my email, mharrer, Harrer, at oradell.org. OPTV continues to do a wonderful job. They'll be putting as much as they video will be going on YouTube soon, and we will be working on that to give you more interesting, fun things to see about Oradell. I also want to thank the organizers of the Veterans Dinner. It was a moving lunch, Veterans Lunch, on November 11th. It was very moving to talk to them and to hear a lot of the stories that they have to tell. And I'm so proud of all the veterans in Oradell. And that's it. Happy Thanksgiving to one and all.
Thank you, Councilwoman Harrer. Mr. Hines, if you have a report, now's the time. And I would ask, could you address Mr. Atsunas' question about the grant for the kitchen, what that grant is supposed to do?
So I have one item to add. On Thursday, we will have our first department head meeting to prepare for the 2025 budget. That will be with all department heads, mandatory appearance. I will be joined with the chief financial officer. As for the award from the federal government, we just received approval for that. We have until April to spend the money, and we plan, it's going to be specifically directed toward the kitchen, but it could be more for warming areas rather than cooking, because a lot of people rent out the senior center and they bring in food that needs to be warmed up. So I'm going to be working with the Department of Public Works superintendent, who helped prepare the program that we submitted to the federal government.
Well, I don't think he said no cooking. I think there were some issues that have been identified from the previous design. The fire department has been there a bunch of times because the pilot lights blow out on the stove when you open the back door. That's a problem. The building fills with gas. So I think they're looking at, how to re-envision the kitchen space to best serve those who use it. I think that's the best way I could put it for you. That concludes your report?
That's it.
Thank you, sir. Borough Attorney's report, Mr. Bailey.
Nothing for open session, Mr. Mayor.
Thank you. Any final matter to come before the council before I entertain a motion to adjourn?
I'd like to make a motion to adjourn.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, thank you. We're adjourned. Have a great night, everybody.